right. Hello, I am Chantel Hayden. I'm with the Nocturnal. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm really excited to talk to you. I've actually really been looking forward to this. Okay,
Oh,
so let's
great.
start. So first, we're going to talk about Natasha Rothwell's new
Great.
Hulu comedy series, of course, How to Die Alone. You play her brother on the show, Brian.
Hmm.
Could you tell me how you got this role? Like, did she reach out to you? Because I know she
Yeah.
specifically like sought out her co-creator, her
Hmm.
co-showrunner. So I want to know,
Yeah.
did she specifically seek you out?
I am lucky enough to say that I've been a fan of Natasha since she was doing the characters on Netflix, since she was the standout scene stealer on such shows as Insecure, White Lotus, and many, other places
Hmm.
in film and TV. And while I was enjoying her work, I'm grateful that she was aware of mine. And yeah, she reached out. She said, I'm looking for somebody to play my brother. And that
Yeah.
conversation has led to me doing some of the best work of my life.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
so you play again, you play her brother Brian,
Hmm.
and you guys don't have the best relationship. There seems to
No,
be,
no.
a bit of tension between you two.
Yeah,
This role is a little more solemn, or I guess you could say a little more dramatic in compared to
mm,
your past roles, which are more
it's
lighthearted
true.
and comedic, even though your
Yeah.
past roles still hold nuance, of course. Did your experience as a writer change how you approach this role?
You know, in some way it did, only because I, as a writer, know how great writing is rarely immediate. Great writing is often the result of many drafts, many passes,
Hmm.
many conversations. For
Yeah.
Natasha, it was her writers, her and Vera, outstanding, outstanding writer, Vera.
Hmm.
And so I knew that when I read a script that was so good, that it was actually a result of immense labor. Now, what that tells me is that I need to make sure I'm bringing also immense labor to honor that work.
Hmm.
So that's really what it was. It was just like, oh, this is great. Oh, they really did a good job. Oh, they broke their foot off in this. Let me make sure that when I'm on set, every second I'm on set, I'm doing the same. Let me make sure that
Yeah.
I'm always trying to bring, I hate to say it, but always trying to bring my A game because sometimes as an actor, you do get parts that even if you really want to try and challenge yourself with it, it's written not as a three-dimensional character, but it's written
Yes.
because they need you to do something else for another character. We need you to be the angry guy so that this other character can show their compassion. This was
Yeah.
not like that. This was like, no, no. This requires you to bring your personal relationships with your own siblings into the work. And that's something
Hmm.
that I think Natasha's writing resonates with people so much because she really pours her whole soul into it. You really feel
Yeah.
like she's letting you in. And so when I read this, we started this whole process with she and I talking about complicated relationships we have with our own siblings and
Yeah.
how I always think it's really funny to me that like no matter how cool and calm and collected you are, no matter how unflappable you are, I promise you there's usually one person in your family that can make you absolutely crazy and make you lose all reason, all hope. Everybody think about somebody right now, like, and you kind of be
I
like,
know I
damn,
am.
they're
I know I
exactly like,
am.
and you sitting there watching yourself going, like, get a hold of yourself, but you
Yeah.
can't because I'll be damned if I let this mug have the last word. Absolutely, you've been
Yeah.
having the last word since we was kids. Nah, not this time.
Hmm.
That's this character, and I think people will relate to that because I think a lot of us know what it feels like to have that person in our family who can make us nuts.
Yes, definitely. And
Hmm.
like you said, you have your own siblings yourself. I was
Yes,
gonna
I've many.
ask, did you did you add anything to this character or add any did you improvise anything just like based off
you
of personal
know,
experience?
mhm. It's interesting. I think improvisation for acting to me is very similar to like music. It's like if you have a great melody, it's much easier to improv off of because you always have this wonderful bass line to go off of, right? And
Hmm.
so the same thing is with acting. The script comes in so strong. And now I'm just doing little small riffs here and there off of what they've already written, but I don't want
Yeah.
to change it. I don't want to walk too far away from it because the work is so good and it's so right. And again, your primary job as an actor is not to become a writer. Your primary job as an actor is to pour yourself into these words and make these words fit your being. So when you say them, it
Yeah.
feels like you thought of them in the moment, not necessarily to come in like, oh, I think my character would say this. That's not the job. So there are
Hmm.
moments where I can riff, and I think it's natural to do that. But the scripts are really good. Like the Tasha and her team. I mean, they kind of like
Yeah.
A plus. If I was a teacher, I'd be like A plus. You guys get an A plus. So now when you get
Yeah.
that kind of work, you really just want to honor it and do your best to make sure that they feel like they made the right choice too.
Yeah, of course. Completely
Yeah.
understand. In an interview a while back, Natasha talked about how she felt that there was an unconscious bias playing a role in show cancellations, especially
Mm,
with shows focusing on the
interesting. I can
representation
relate.
of, yeah, yeah, of course. Exactly. So we're gonna listen, we're gonna get into that. You know,
Sure.
but shows specifically that are focused on Black stories
Hmm.
and authentic Black experiences.
Yeah.
Many shows created at the beginning of the pandemic or even in the midst of the pandemic are no
Yeah.
longer around. They were
They're
canceled.
gone.
As you know, Southside was one of those shows.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
listen, I know you're not very active on social media, but when it
No,
was
no.
announced that Max canceled it, everybody was pissed. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
was like #3 trending in the country. Everybody
Really
was upset. I was one of those people because I'm like,
good.
how could this show that's obviously so good. They obviously saw value in the show. I mean, you guys made it to 3 seasons, which is
Yeah.
not an easy feat. And you
Yeah.
were able to do that. And it's like it still wasn't enough. How do you
Yeah.
think Southside was viewed compared to other shows? And why do you think it got canceled, even though people really seem to like it?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that we're not the ones making the decisions. I
Okay,
want
yeah.
to tell you that there's some like complicated metric, or perhaps that the numbers should be this and they were that. But I can tell you the South Side never lost a fan. There was never anybody who watched it and became a fan of it who tuned it out. So
Who,
our numbers
yeah.
were got yeah, we got bigger every season. Um, but at the end of the day, not to get too deep on this stuff, but I do think it does call to mind what we're doing as Black folks specifically to make sure that we can be the ones greenlighting and keeping stuff on the air. Because at the end of the day,
Mm,
I can give you some complicated rationale, blah blah blah, whoop whoop, but there's a human being at the top who has to make these decisions. That
yeah.
human being usually does not look like you or me. And I
Hmm.
think that becomes what it is. So there are great shows, and let me give credit to some other shows that aren't Black. There's some other great shows that also got canceled as a result of that. I think some of it was a result of the peak TV thing kind of going away. There was a moment years ago where there seemed to be 600 TV shows on television. Television
Yeah.
production now is down 40%. Stock
Hmm.
prices are down. These companies, I always tell people if you want to get a show greenlit in Hollywood, bring them a show they already did. I think that's something I never ever wanted to do. Southside was an original. It was an original. We did not just go out and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, this other thing worked 15 times. This is just another version of that."
Hmm.
Because to me, as an audience, I don't want that. If I want that other show, I'd watch it. I want something new and special and fresh, and I want to know that you guys are taking the comedy baton from Robert Townsend, from Keenan Ivory Wayans, from Martin Lawrence, taking that comedy baton, from honestly from Living Single, taking that
Hmm.
baton and carrying it to the next thing, right? And carrying it to the next thing and carrying it to the next thing. And that for me is always what we're going to do. So shows like Southside, with that level of comedy and intelligence, we will do more stuff like that. But at the end of the
Yes.
day, we're not in charge. That's really for
Yeah.
me what it comes down to, because I promise you, for every show that got canceled, there's a show that had less good ratings that's still in the air. So at the end of the day, there's a human element. There's a person involved, and it's got to be for us to protect stuff like that. I think we have to be the ones to make those decisions.
Yes, I completely agree. I do think reboots and remakes are getting prioritized more than original stories.
Hmm.
Hopefully that changes. I know the landscape of media right now is very
It's wild.
chaotic.
It's wild. I mean,
But
I'm trying to
hopefully,
personally, yeah.
yeah.
I'm even trying to, and I'm knock on wood. I can't say it just yet, but I'm actually trying to create a media venture that gives us some power like that, and maybe do it in my hometown of Chicago. So more to come on that front down the line. But I do
Yes.
think, for me, it's very instructive but also it does put me in a space of just joy that we were able to
Mhm.
do Southside for that many seasons. We never compromised on an episode. And that's one of those shows that I didn't want it to be canceled, but I don't have any regret around it. I feel like
Of
when
course.
it comes to
Yeah.
that show, my heart is full. We did everything I wanted to do and more. Now, if my other show, Sherman Show case, I could kind of do a couple more seasons of that. But there's stuff we didn't get to do that I really wanted to
Yeah.
do on that one.
Yeah.
But with Southside, I feel like I painted, I was part of a team that made a beautiful painting that was perfect. And it's just perfect. And I get to enjoy it. And honestly, for me right now, I just want more people to see it. I'm trying to figure out how to get on, other platforms. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Get
I
more
honestly,
eyeballs on it.
I tell
Get behind that
everybody about
paywall.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. I tell everybody about it. I love the show. I
Hmm.
love your work with your frequent collaborator, Diallo. I love what you guys have done together. And
Thank you.
I do hope to see more of you guys. I really do, because you guys are super talented.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
so yes, and thank you again for taking the time out to speak with
Of
me. I really
course.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Um,
Chantel.
yes, of course. Love How to Die Alone. I thought you did great. Thought everyone did well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for everyone to
Can I
see
send a
it.
plug? Can I
Yes,
plug one other
of
thing that we
course.
have
Yeah,
time?
plug
Like
yourself.
since
Plug yourself.
you mentioned Diallo, so our show
Hmm.
Sherman Showcase, I still feel like I have more to do. We're doing a live show in Los Angeles next week to I think it's Wednesday the 25th at the El Rey. So if you're in LA and you want to hear some great songs and hear
Yeah.
some good jokes, we'll be there having some fun.
Okay, that sounds fun. I'm in Atlanta, but
I
I
might
wish
be
I could
down
be
there soon.
there.
Shout out to TL. You know, that's
Oh
where Diallo's
yes,
from.
please.
That's Diallo's
Yes,
hometown.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
man. We love
Well,
Atlanta.
thank you again. I really appreciate. I love this conversation. We could talk for much longer, but we're out of
We'll talk
time.
again.